I never expected my monthly family dinner to end with broken glass and shocked silence. But then again, I never expected my carefully guarded secret to be revealed in quite such a dramatic way. Let me take you back to how it all started. My name is Sarah Anderson, and for the past 5 years, I've been running one of the most successful tech companies in the city. Not that my family knew that, to them, I was just their disappointing middle child who worked in computers. That Sunday evening started like any other family dinner at the prestigious Golden Oak restaurant. My parents had insisted on this venue, probably because my brother James had just made partner at his law firm, and my sister Emma had recently been promoted to chief surgeon. The crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead as our family settled into our usual dynamics. "James, tell everyone about your latest case," Mom beamed, adjusting her pearl necklace. "The one with the corporate merger?" James launched into another self-important story about his legal brilliance while I pushed my food around my plate. I'd actually overseen that merger from the other side, but of course I couldn't say anything. "And Emma," Dad chimed in, "how's the new cardiac unit you're heading?" "Wonderful," Emma replied. "The hospital board just approved my proposal for expansion." I took a sip of water, trying to stay invisible. It never worked. "Sarah," Mom's voice carried that familiar tone of disappointment, "are you still with that, what was it, tech startup?" Before I could answer, Dad jumped in. "You know, Wilson's daughter just got a very stable position at an accounting firm. They're always hiring." "I'm fine with my current job, Dad," I said quietly. "Fine isn't good enough," he scoffed. "Look at your siblings. James is handling million-dollar cases, Emma's saving lives, and you're what? Fixing computers." I bit my tongue. If only they knew I'd just closed a $400 million deal last week. But I had my reasons for keeping my success private. When I'd first started my company, I wanted to succeed or fail on my own merits, not because of my family name. Mom sighed dramatically, lifting her champagne glass. "Well, let's focus on our successful children tonight." To James and Emma. That's when it happened. A tall man in an impeccable suit approached our table, his face lighting up when he saw me. "Madame Sue," he exclaimed, "I'm so glad I caught you. The contracts for the Anderson merger are ready for your signature." The champagne glass slipped from my father's hand, shattering against the hardwood floor. My mother's perfectly maintained smile froze on her face. James stopped mid-sentence, his fork suspended halfway to his mouth. In the deafening silence that followed, I could almost hear their worldviews cracking. Standing before them wasn't just Marcus Wright, their biggest client, he was also the head of the very merger my brother had been bragging about. And he had just revealed that I wasn't just some low-level IT worker. I was his CEO. "Marcus," I said calmly, though my heart was racing, "I didn't expect to see you here." "Oh." He looked around the table, suddenly realizing his mistake. "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt a family dinner." "Family dinner?" Emma found her voice first, though it came out as a squeak. "Sarah, what is he talking about? What CEO?" I took a deep breath. After 5 years, my carefully constructed wall of privacy had just come crashing down. And judging by the look on my parents' faces, this dinner was about to become very interesting indeed. The silence that followed felt like an eternity. Marcus, sensing the tension, quickly excused himself with a polite nod. "I'll have the documents sent to your office tomorrow, Ms. Anderson." As he walked away, my father's face turned an interesting shade of red. The waiter hurried over to clean up the broken glass, providing a momentary distraction from the bomb that had just been dropped on our family dinner. "What was that?" Dad's words came out clipped and controlled, but I could hear the anger simmering beneath. I think," I said, placing my napkin carefully on the table, "that was your biggest client revealing what I actually do for a living." "You mean to tell me," Mom's voice trembled, "that you're the CEO of Phoenix Technologies? The company that's been all over the financial news?" James leaned forward, his legal mind clearly racing. "That's impossible. Phoenix Tech is worth billions. Their CEO is." His eyes widened as realization hit. "Anderson. Not Stephen or Samuel. Sarah." "Yes," I confirmed, taking a sip of my water. "I founded Phoenix Technologies 5 years ago. We went public last year." 5 years. Emma's fork clattered against her plate. "But that's when you left Johnson & Partners. Dad was furious because you turned down the partnership track." The memory of that day flooded back. I'd been working at my father's friend's consulting firm, being groomed for partnership. But I had a different vision, one that involved revolutionizing cybersecurity through artificial intelligence. You said you were going to try something in technology, Dad's voice rose. We thought you were doing basic IT work. No, I corrected him, you assumed I was doing basic IT work. You never actually asked what I was building. But, Mom stammered, the apartment you live in, the modest car. I chose to live simply, I explained. Success isn't about showing off wealth. It's about creating value. Value? Dad scoffed, but there was something new in his voice. Uncertainty. Do you have any idea what you've done? I've been telling everyone my daughter works in IT support. Do you know how embarrassing this is? Embarrassing. I felt something snap inside me. 5 years of diminishment and dismissal bubbled to the surface. You know what's embarrassing, Dad? Having parents who never once asked about my actual work. Who assumed I was a failure because I didn't follow their prescribed path to success. But why didn't you tell us? Emma asked, genuinely confused. Because, I said, meeting each of their eyes in turn, I wanted to succeed or fail on my own terms. Not as the Anderson family's daughter, but as Sarah. Just Sarah. Do you know who else knew before us? Mom demanded, her social anxiety clearly kicking in. Does the whole country club know? Mom, the whole country knows. I'm on the cover of Business Weekly this month. You probably didn't notice because you were too busy showing off Emma's hospital newsletter. James, ever the lawyer, had pulled out his phone and was frantically Googling. His face grew paler with each scroll. Holy shit, he whispered, forgetting our parents' rule about cursing at the dinner table. Sarah, you're worth. Don't, I cut him off. The numbers aren't important. Not important? Dad's voice cracked. You're telling me my daughter is one of the youngest female CEOs in the country, and it's not important? What's important, I said firmly, is that I built something meaningful. Phoenix Technologies protects millions of people's data. We employ thousands. We're developing AI systems that will revolutionize cybersecurity. But why keep it secret from us? Mom pressed. Because of exactly this reaction, I gestured to their shocked faces. Because you would have either tried to take control or tried to leverage my success for social status. Because for once I wanted to do something without your judgment, your expectations, or your interference. The waiter approached tentatively. Would anyone like to order dessert? No, I said, standing up. I think we're done here. I pulled out my wallet and placed my black card on the table. Dinner's on me. As I turned to leave, Dad's voice stopped me. Sarah, wait. I paused, not turning around. The Anderson merger. He said slowly, that's why James's firm has been struggling with the negotiations? Because you're the mystery CEO they've been dealing with. Yes, I confirmed. And now that you know, I should mention, the terms your firm proposed last week? They're not acceptable. You might want to revise them before our meeting tomorrow. With that, I walked away, leaving my family to digest not only their dinner but the reality that their unsuccessful daughter was now holding the fate of their biggest client in her hands. As I reached my car, my phone buzzed. Multiple messages from my family started pouring in, but one caught my eye, a news alert. Someone at the restaurant had obviously tipped off the press about the scene. The headline read, Phoenix Technologies CEO's family dinner revelation sparks social media frenzy. I smiled, starting my engine. Tomorrow would be interesting indeed. The next morning, I arrived at Phoenix Technologies headquarters earlier than usual. The building's glass facade reflected the rising sun, a fitting metaphor for what this day would bring. My executive assistant Maria was already waiting with my schedule. Your family has been quite persistent, she said, handing me a stack of messages. Your father called 8 times, your mother 12, and your siblings have been taking turns calling every half hour since 6 a.m. And the press. Going crazy. The hashtag for reveal is trending. Should I release the prepared statement? I nodded. We'd had a contingency plan for when my identity would eventually become public. I just hadn't expected it to happen over family dinner. Also, Maria added, Mr. Anderson's law firm requested to move up the merger meeting to 9 a.m. Of course they did. Keep it at the scheduled time. 2 p.m. Let them sweat a little. Throughout the morning, I focused on regular business, trying to maintain normalcy despite my phone buzzing constantly with family messages. Around noon, an unexpected visitor arrived at my office. "Ms. Anderson," my secretary announced, "your mother is here." I took a deep breath. "Send her in." Mom entered, looking both intimidated and impressed by my corner office with its panoramic city view. Her eyes wandered over the awards on the walls, the magazine covers featuring my company, and finally settled on me. "Sarah," she said softly, "this is incredible. Have a seat, Mom." She perched nervously on one of the leather chairs facing my desk. "We didn't sleep last night. Your father, he's been going through every article about you. Did you really develop the security system that stopped the global cyber attack last year?" "Yes." "And the AI platform that the government uses?" "That's classified, but yes." She twisted her hands in her lap. "We've been such fools, haven't we?" "Mom." "No, let me finish," she interrupted. "We were so focused on traditional success, law, medicine, things we could understand and brag about at the country club. We never bothered to understand your world because it wasn't familiar to us." For the first time, I saw genuine regret in her eyes. "When you left Johnson and Partners," she continued, "we thought you were throwing your life away. We were wrong. So terribly wrong. I needed to do it my way," I explained. "Every time I tried to tell you about my ideas about the potential of AI and cybersecurity, you'd change the subject to James's cases or Emma's surgeries. Because we didn't understand," she admitted. "It was easier to dismiss than to admit our ignorance." She paused, looking around the office again. "Your father is devastated, you know. Not about the merger, though that's giving him ulcers, but about how blind we've been." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. It was time for the merger meeting. "I have to go, Mom. We're announcing the merger today." She stood up, smoothing her dress. "Of course. But Sarah, would you consider coming to dinner this Sunday? Just you and us. No James, no Emma. We'd like to really hear about your work this time." I studied her face, seeing sincerity there for the first time in years. "I'll think about it." The merger meeting was exactly as awkward as I'd expected. Dad sat across the conference table, looking simultaneously proud and mortified as I dismantled their proposal point by point. James, who'd insisted on attending, kept staring at me like he was seeing a stranger. "Your terms undervalue our AI patents," I explained, highlighting sections of their proposal. "And the stock distribution doesn't reflect current market valuations." "We can revise those sections," Dad said quickly, shooting nervous glances at his colleagues. "Good," I nodded. "Because while I'm happy to work with your firm, I won't accept unfair terms, even from family." After the meeting, Dad lingered behind. "Sarah," he started, then stopped, struggling for words. "Yes, Dad. I've been in business for 40 years, he said finally. "I thought I knew everything worth knowing. But watching you in there today, you're operating on a level I never imagined. Technology is changing the world, Dad. I tried to tell you that 5 years ago. I know. I should have listened." He straightened his tie nervously. "Your mother mentioned she invited you to dinner. I'd like to learn about what you do. Really learn this time." I considered his words carefully. "Okay," I said finally. "But on one condition." "Anything." "No more comparing me to James and Emma. No more suggestions about real jobs or stable careers. I've built something important here and I need you to respect that." "Deal," he said immediately, then added with a slight smile, "though I doubt anyone will ever suggest alternative careers to you again. You're rather intimidating in that conference room, you know." That evening, as I sat in my office watching the sunset, Maria brought in the latest press coverage. The story had evolved from the dramatic dinner revelation to exploring Phoenix Technologies' achievements and my journey as a female CEO in tech. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "Just read about your AI medical diagnosis system. Can we talk? I think it could revolutionize our emergency room procedures." Another message popped up from James. "Those contract revisions you suggested? Brilliant. Want to grab coffee and teach me about tech law?" And finally, a message from Mom. "Looked up artificial intelligence today. Still confused but proud." So proud. I smiled, saving the messages. 5 years of secrets had ended in broken glass and shocked silence. But maybe that's exactly what we needed. Sometimes the best way to fix a family is to shatter their preconceptions first. Looking out over the city I'd helped protect through my company's security systems, I realized that success isn't just about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. And sometimes the longest journey isn't from startup to CEO, but from misunderstood daughter to respected businesswoman. I picked up my phone and texted Mom back. Sunday dinner sounds good. I'll bring the champagne. Try not to drop it this time.